Hey there, and welcome to my channel. My name is Crafty Kathy, and I'm so happy and thankful that you stopped in to craft and spend a little time with me today. We're doing vintage Halloween, and let's jump in. For the first DIY, I'm going to try my hand at the Elizabethan Halloween crows. Now, I have had these guys saved in my Pinterest feed for years, and today is the day it's time to do it. I ordered my crows from Temu, and I think I only spent they were under $1.50, I'm pretty sure, and they actually look pretty decent for the price that you pay. Now, they have two little wires on their feet, which will help them to stand up, and I ended up buying two. I'm going to show you guys the picture that I have in my Pinterest feed, and I just about bet that you'll be like, oh yeah, I know exactly what she's talking about. They have a very vintage vibe, and you guys know that that's right up my alley. Most of the time you see these little guys wearing like a little dunce hat is what I call it, like the little troublemaker in the classroom, and you can make their little ruffles for their collars with these crepe streamers, which is what I'm going to use. Or I noticed that the lady that created that one made one of the little ruffles from a book page. They're very easy to make. I only found black and white at the Dollar Tree. They didn't have any orange, but that's fine. We're just going to thread up a little needle really quick, and I laid my black and white on top of each other. All we're going to do with this is go right in the very center here, and you're going to go in one side and out the other. I'm not exactly sure what this is called when you do it this way. I'm thinking it has a name, but you're just kind of fanning your needle under and then on top. And then you go underneath and on top, underneath and on top. And all the while, what you are doing is creating a little ruffle effect, and you can make it as tight as you want it or as loose as you want it. It's all up to you and what your taste is. Now, I'm going to show you really quick how I went through here. I would like to let you know that I used a large, big old fat needle, and that was not necessary at all. It's just the first one that I grabbed. I honestly think it would be so much easier if I would have stuck with just a regular size, like small needle. You can get little sewing kits at the Dollar Tree for $1.25, and that's what I would suggest that you use, because really, probably the smaller the needle, the better it's going to look. And I just had a little bit of trouble every once in a while trying to get this big old needle to, get inside and make them as small as I wanted them. But hopefully you can just kind of see by what I'm doing here about how far I went. There's really no rhyme or reason to this. You just do it, and I promise you it's going to look good in the end. And I want to take just a really quick moment to welcome you guys to my channel. I am so glad that you stopped in to spend a little time with me today. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, I would love for you to do that and just join me on this crafting journey that I'm on. Let's do it together, guys. And if you do enjoy this video and get some kind of inspiration out of it, please hit the like button. And I'd love for you to leave me a comment, because those things really help my channel out tremendously. And also, to be a subscriber is totally free. You just hit the red subscribe button and you're in the family. So what I'm going to do is just go kind of right in the center here. And I just tied mine together. I just made like a couple of little knots there. Oh, I forgot. I did. I cut mine down because I felt that the streamer was just too much. The crow's neck is so tiny, and it all depends on what size crow you get. You may like the thicker ruffle, but I felt that mine needed to be cut down, so that's exactly what I did. Also, when you do tie these up, you can tie it tight enough to where the little ruffles are very tight, and it doesn't look like he's being smothered by his collar, I kind of pinched mine together here with my fingers because it created the look that I personally liked. I was able to get a little bit of the white and you can see the black, and that's exactly what I was going for. Basically, what you're going to do is just keep kind of fluffing your little ruffle and fooling around with it until it gets to be the shape that you want it to be. And I really like the way that these pinking shears make things look, especially when I'm doing vintage Halloween. If you'll notice, if you go through Pinterest and you get inspired by any of those pictures, like you can see that a lot of the stuff that they made, the true vintage Halloween, had the little cuts like that. And so I do like these pinking shears. I got mine off of Amazon, and they are linked in my Amazon store in case you want some. They were super cheap, and you don't have to have anything special, just some little pinking shears, and it'll be great. But I just kind of fooled around with my ruffle until it was the way that I wanted it. Now here I am making the second ruffle, and I don't want to bore you and waste time showing you every little step. I do want to let you know that I cut the sides off of this ruffle because remember the first one I kind of cut it down and cut it in half. So the more of these you make, the smarter you get, the wiser you get. I don't know about smarter, but you get wiser on the little tricks, how to make it look right. So I used my pinking shears on both sides, and I made my little ruffles a lot tighter than I did on the first one. And I do have to say that I like the way that the second one came out much better than I did the first one. But when you're pulling your little ruffles out and getting them on the thread, just please be careful because this stuff is crepe paper. It's so thin, and you don't want to tear up the hard work that you've just done. I went ahead and got the second one put around the other crow, and I don't know if you can notice much of a difference, but I really do like the one on the right much better. Like I said, I made it tighter, and I also made it a little bit smaller, and I just like that look better. Now comes the fun part, and we're going to embellish them. I'm going to make his little hat. I'm just using about an 8x8 size paper, and I'm terrible at making these, y'all. I don't know what my problem is, but basically you just curl one corner up, and then you're kind of curling it toward the other corner, and what you're looking for is that little cone shape. You want it to come to a point at the top, and then I just kind of glued my piece together, and then I'm going to cut it off because we only need a teeny weeny little hat. But before I cut it off, I just grabbed my little dauber and some brown ink and just kind of went over it to make it look a little more vintage, and that way, in case any of the paper that's white, the back side of this paper, in case any of it's showing, you can't notice it. So I just cut mine off, and I just kind of set it there to see how tall I wanted it and cut it down to the size I wanted. When I got it the size that I wanted, I just put a little bit of hot glue on it, and that's what I'm going to use to stick it to his head. Now we're going to make the rim of the hat. And the way that I did that was just by taking a small piece of a pipe cleaner and kind of wounding it around itself, and it made like a rounded brim, and that's what we're going to use, and we're going to slide it down over the hat and put a little bit of glue there to hold it still. I wanted to add something to the top of his hat. Generally, you see like a pom-pom up there or something of that nature, but I wanted to put my own Crafty Cathy spin on it. So I found these little picks. They're just like little orange foamy balls that you would normally like put in a floral arrangement or something. And I'm just going to stick this right on top of his little hat, and it just went perfectly, the whole color scheme and the whole look of it. I have two candle stands that I picked up at Dollar Tree. Now, the shape of one is just a little bit smaller than the other, but it doesn't matter. I spray painted both of them with my Rust-Oleum matte 2 times in the color matte black. I'm just going to use this velvet ribbon that I get from Temu, and I'm just going to place it around 2 places on the larger one, and then I think I go over it just 1 on the smaller one. Now I'm going to make a rosette for this larger one, and I'm going to speed this up, but if you need a little bit more help on making a rosette, I go into better detail on one of my last videos. I'll link it down below. Basically, all that I do is I cut 2 strips of paper here that are from Hobby Lobby. I do 2 of the strips and I cut them at 2 inches wide, and all you're going to do is fold it back and forth like a fan. And then you are going to glue the ends of it together and kind of squeeze it together in the middle, and it's going to make a rosette. Now, the way that I like to do mine is whenever I squeeze it all together, I put a little bit of glue right in the very center because I feel like it helps it just hold on better and you can't see it anyway. And if you want to make a smaller rosette than I did, you can make yours where it is like 1 inch wide instead of 2 inches wide, and your rosette naturally is going to be smaller. But see what I mean by when I kind of squeeze it together in the middle, I just put a little drop of hot glue there, and that way it holds on really well. Once I made this rosette, I realized that it was too big for the candle stand, so I just took my pinking shears and cut it almost kind of like in half of what it already was. Now, I don't recommend doing it this way because it could have looked better. It still looks okay, I have to add that, but if I would have done it smaller in the first place, it probably would have looked better. So I'm just going to glue this right in the center of my candle stand, and then I'm going to grab some of those DIY stickers from the Dollar Tree. They're little wood pumpkins and wood bats and that type thing. I'm going to use the little bat and put it right in the middle of my rosette. It's traditionary when you're doing the rosettes for there to either be like a little circle object in the middle, but I wanted to shake it up and just do a little something different. Now everything is coming together and will be finished in just a moment. I just put a little bit of hot glue on his feet, and I'm going to place him right on top of that pedestal. I grabbed a foam pumpkin from the Dollar Tree, this orange and black one, and I'm just going to place it on top of the other candlestick and put the other crow on top of it. And the little wire that are in their feet were just in the way, so I just cut those off because it made it so much easier to deal with. I have some vintage Halloween cards that I got from Temu. I'm going to cut this one little piece out that says Happy Halloween. Before I do anything with that little Happy Halloween sign, I'm going to grab some of this super moss. I get this at Hobby Lobby, and I like this so much better than I do the stuff from Dollar Tree because it's a little bit stiffer, and definitely for Halloween, I think it just looks so much better. It's really nice. It's worth the extra few dollars that you pay for it, and it really lasts me a long time. So I'm going to go all around the base of the one crow with my super moss. And when I sat back and looked at it, if there were any areas that were just kind of untamed, I just clipped them off with the scissors. He's pretty much finished off. I'm going to take this purple moss that I got at the at-home store last Halloween, and I'm going to place it all around the other crow and my little sign that says Happy Halloween, and I'm going to pop a little vintage Crafty Kathy bow right on the top of her head. And I finished her off by adding one of these little Temu pumpkins to the very front of the candlestick. And this little couple is so adorable. I had to put my spin on it, and I hope you guys like this one. For DIY number 2, I'm going to make the cutest little, I guess you could say they're like little vintage thread figurines almost. I see these all over Pinterest too, and I will show you the inspiration picture for those. I've got these little like spools that I got. They're wooden, and I got those at Hobby Lobby. They were just a couple of dollars for 4 of them. And I'm just going to cut off a piece of this vintage looking Halloween paper. It also came from Hobby Lobby. I'm using my pinking shears because I just like the look of that. And I'm going to wrap that around one of my spools. And I added some glitter around the top and the bottom of this one. I must have done it when I was off camera or something and just didn't record it. But all I did was just put a little Mod Podge around the side and sprinkle Dollar Tree glitter on top and bottom. And for the second one, I'm going to do the exact same thing as I did with the first one, except for I'm going to use this polka dotted paper. Now this paper is just something that I had purchased off of Etsy. I pulled up like vintage Halloween paper and then I printed it at home myself. I do like that it's black with the orange polka dots and it has small polka dots, so I thought it was really cute. So anyways, I'm just going to place this one around the other wooden spool. And I'm just using a little bit of hot glue to hold these together. And I got these little vintage wooden Halloween pieces from guess where? Yes, Temu. I got these a few months ago and I've been just dying to use these. I'm going to use the little witch here, but I wanted to make her look like she was flying. So what I decided to do is just take some of the Dollar Tree wire and I'm going to place that on the back of her and stick it coming off the spool. That way she looks like she's flying. You know that the Dollar Tree wire is really thin, so the way that I got this to work was just to glue the wire to the back of the witch, and then I just took a very small piece of that Halloween paper that I just used and placed it over the wire and glued all of that together, and it just creates a better bond, and now she can stand up exactly how I want her to. What I did was just place a little bit of hot glue down the side of the wire, and I held it there for a few moments so that she would be exactly positioned the way that I wanted her to. And then once that glue cooled down, I added just a little bit more down inside the spool for stability. I'm going to take some of this vintage tinsel. It's like a ribbon that I get from Temu, and it's going to go just around the very top part of that spool. And then I got a whole bunch of little resin like pumpkins and ghosts and I think witches hats and that type thing from Temu. I'm going to take one of the little pumpkins and place it right kind of on the top of that ribbon. I didn't like the fact that the spool was still white, so I decided to paint it with my color called Black Velvet. It's my favorite black color from DIY paint. If you guys ever want to try out some of the DIY paint, I get it from Lori over at Milton's Daughter, and I leave her information in the comment section and the description box below in case you guys want to try it out. And since these little wood pieces have holes in the top of them because they're actually ornaments, I'm going to cover that up with one of those little resin bats that I got from that Temu pack. And to finish her off, Crafty Cathy style, I took a medium-sized black button and a very small orange one and placed those together on the front of the spool. Now for the next one, what I'm going to do is take this tiny little bottle brush tree. It's gold and I didn't like that, so I used up the rest of that black velvet color that I had on my brush. I didn't mind that the gold showed through a little bit, but I wanted most of the tree to be really dark and like a blackish color. So I just painted over it and I'm going to place it on the side almost of the spool. And I'm going to use the other little ornament that has a little witch on there. I'm going to place her kind of catty corner. And then I'm going to put the tree over to the right side of her. That way it's not going to block our view of this beautiful little witch because she has a little tiny badger with her. I'm going to take one of those little resin pieces that's a spider and place it down on the front part of the spool. And then I have these little necklaces that I got from the Dollar Tree, and they are orange and black and purple little pumpkins. I'm going to cut a couple of those off, and I'm going to place those right beside the tree just for a little bit of added interest. And to put the finishing touch on this one, I'm just going to use one of these little orange beads that my daughter makes necklaces with. I'm going to glue it down behind the two little pumpkins so that I can set this little resin piece that is a kitty cat on a pumpkin on top of it. And here's the inspiration piece. They're asking $28 for it. And here's my pieces. I hope you like them. Now for the third DIY, it is a bath and body dupe. If there's one thing you must know about me, I'm crazy about Bath and Body Works. And last year they had a candle holder that was an old decrepit witch hand. Well, I'm not spending $50 for a candle holder, but I did find the dupe for it on Temu, and it was only like, I think $6. But I want to do it up and make it to where I think that it's pretty. Well, it's not pretty, it's ugly, but you know, to where I'm happy with it. The first thing that I did was I just got my little brown ink and I'm going all around it because I wanted the hand to look decrepit and old because it was just too stark white for me. Well, I didn't think that that was enough with the ink, so I moved on to some Waverly wax. I put that all over it with a napkin, and then I just wiped off the excess, and I still wasn't happy with that. So the thing that did the trick was my pentart antique wax. This is the antique wax that I get from Lori at Milton's Daughter. To me, it's the same thing as Rub and Buff. I actually like it a lot better. And the antique wax has a little bit of a different formula than the bronze and the wax paste that I use. It is a thicker formula, I guess you could say. I just rubbed it all over the hand and I barely wiped any of it off. It looks like I'm wiping a lot off, but trust me, I didn't want to take much of it off of there. Now we got to do something with her sleeve. As you see, it's just a regular black one, and I had several different Halloween fabrics that I got last year at Dollar Tree, and these are out again this year. I decided to use the one that has the bats and spiders on it because it just seemed like it was the most fitting. I measured out the amount that I needed, and I made a small cut with my scissors, and then I would rip it with my hands, because that way it's going to rip straight across, because Lord knows I can't cut a straight line in fabric if my life depended on it. So what I'm going to do is just go across. I'm going to add a little bit of hot glue to hold the edge on, and then I'm going to go all the way around and glue the sleeve down. Then I took a long piece of black velvet ribbon. Now this ribbon came from the Dollar Tree last Halloween. I'm wanting to say that it is 2 inches wide, and I'm just going to glue it together so I can have a thicker piece. And I'm going to do this exactly like I did that ruffle. Remember the ruffle for the crow? I'm just going back and forth, and I'm going to run my needle and thread through it and do the exact same thing. This is going to create like a velvet ruffle for her sleeve. To start the ruffle, I just kind of glued it to the bottom of the ruffle that came on the hand. And then I just kind of wrapped it around and tied it together. And then that way I would know exactly how much fabric I had, so I could just kind of play with it and fluff it out and just kind of make it exactly how I wanted it. Then I grabbed that brown color antique paste that we had used earlier, the pentart product, and I'm just gonna go all the way around that gold bottom because I do not like that bright yellow gold at all. So I thought, that's not gonna do it. So then I grabbed my black rub and buff, it's called Ebony, and I went all the way around the bottom again, and I still wasn't satisfied. So I just kind of started from scratch. I grabbed my antique gold rub and buff, which is my favorite gold color for Halloween because it's just kind of a timeless muted gold. I put it on a brush so that I could get all up in those little divots there. And then I went back over the spots that are sticking out with that color called Ebony. I just kind of actually mixed that antique gold and the ebony together to create a very muted gold color. We are almost finished with this lady, and I had to add some beautiful press-on nails for her. I found these at Temu, and I think they were just $1.17. They are black and orange. They have like little jack-o'-lanterns on them and cats and bats and all that cool stuff. And then I think 2 of them are just a plain black color, which gave her a gorgeous manicure. I just went around and added 1 press-on nail to each of her little fingers. And I have to pat myself on the back for this one because, my goodness, I cannot believe the way that this changed this thing and how, like, pretty it made it. Now, to finish her off, I'm going to put her on this mirror. This is one of the mirrors that comes from the Dollar Tree, and I put down some of my Top Bond Quick and Thick so that it would have a really good strong hold. The reason why I did that is because this little hand is going to go to my 2 little grandsons, and I could just see it happening where it's going to be tipped over because it is a little top heavy. I was afraid she was going to be tipped over and broken. So I placed this at the bottom so it cannot be tipped over, and it gives it a little bit of extra weight. And then I'm just going to add some of that purple moss that I got from the at-home store all the way around the base down at the bottom. I decided to put a couple of those little resin pieces down in that purple moss. I put a skull, a witch's hat, and then one of the spiders right down at the bottom. The witch had a golden ring on her finger, and it had a little place in the center that I put some glue on and added one of the bats there, so she has like a little bat ring. And then I couldn't stand it without adding one of these little white ghosts down in the bottom with that purple moss. And I hope you like this one. I like it much better than the Bath and Body version. If you stuck with me through all of today's video, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming and sitting a spell with me and supporting my channel. Don't forget to hit that like button if you did enjoy this video. Also, leave me a comment. If you're not much for leaving a comment, leave me a heart emoji because those things really help out my channel. And my goodness, please subscribe and become a part of our family. We would love to have you. My videos are every Monday and Thursday at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And one of my subscribers had been saying that my videos seem to not be bright or as though my lights weren't working or something. Let me know if y'all notice anything different or if it seems fine to you. Now, since it's Halloween videos, I have been turning off the lights, and that may make a difference. I'll see you guys next time, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. Did you know that if you click on my face, if you're on a phone or a tablet, that you can subscribe to my channel? You sure can, and I would love for you to do that. You can also click on either of these videos, and as soon as this one is finished in a second, it'll take you right there automatically. I love you guys. God bless you and your families.